It's important to note that the liberation struggle was carried out by young men and women who were in their youthful years. From the head of state who was in his 30s to, commanders on the ground who were in their late 20s. Suffice it to note that even Fred Rwigema was actually in his early 30s before he died. So most of these commanders were youthful. So this provides lessons for the youth today to understand their role in society, to know that they can play a fundamental role in the transformation of this country. If the RPF did it, the RPF and RPA did it, then they can also do much more. They can pick up from there and do much more for this country. The youth are tomorrow's leaders. We must accept that at some point, the generation that fought the battles, the war of the 1994, will phase out in one way or another. And so the transition is very important. How do we transition from one set of generation to another? And so it is up to the leaders today who should build that, should be able to give confidence to new commanders, to be able to take up responsibilities that will allow them to become as good as their predecessors. And so to do that, we need to be there to mentor the youth. And this is what we are doing. So the future is very bright, because I can tell you with certainty that the commanders that you see today in the jungles of Cabo Delgado, in Central African Republic, and South Sudan are the youth who did not fight the 1994 liberation war. So there is hope that the future is very bright and the commanders are there. And this applies to all walks of life. Even in governance, we have leaders who are developed from, we have transformed in such a way that it is a flawless transition from the old to the new. And this is something that has been inculcated by our top leadership. And it's very important for us to build that. I think the transition from what we initially had as an objective seems to be changing with changing conditions. Today, for instance, the RDF has gone beyond the boundaries of its country, and we are supporting other nations. This is something that has evolved over time. So our capabilities have also changed. We are more technological in our fighting. We are more advanced in our thinking, and therefore everything that we do has transformed over time. So there is a change from the old. We are working towards transforming our military to be able to deal with contemporary security challenges. The biggest challenge today is non-state actors that are being harbored by our neighboring countries. The former, Interahamwe and the ex-FAR, now called the FDL, are still in our neighborhood. And they are supported by the government. I want to say government because the country itself may not necessarily support them, but the government does. And so we must be on the lookout to ensure that we protect our borders from within, and sometimes, if need be, from without, to be able to counter the threat of these groups. So that's the first threat to our security. Naturally, there are some global threats like terrorism, which we deal with beyond our borders, like Mozambique. We believe that terrorism is not confined to a country. Once we let it, grow, then it can be able to cross borders and reach us. So one of the tasks that we have is to help our neighbors, our friendly nations, our allies, to deal with the problem of terrorism. So these are the major threats that we face currently. It's about research. It's about research, and it's about knowing what is out there, knowing your adversary and knowing how efficient they are, and therefore you must work towards being better at all times. And this requires education. We have to train our servicemen to be able to meet challenges, contemporary challenges, and therefore we keep advancing. We keep training our scientists to be, more proficient, our doctors, our engineers, and others. So our army is actually moving in the right direction. For instance, the cadet course that we have in Gako, about 500 every other year, trains in these areas, very important areas, and therefore we are moving forward, and we are improving every other year. They should come and join the army. We have several training institutions and several specialties that will accommodate as many youth as possible. Like I mentioned earlier, we have people who want to join from the graduate level, joining the university and be able to, serve in the military at, by joining the cadet course. Then we also have others who have completed, courses at a lower level, but who can be built within the army, who can do the basic military training course and then build themselves. The only thing we are very cautious about is age. We need to get, people with the right age to be able to build them. And they should be able to come and replace many of us as we thin out. So that we are encouraging many people from different walks of life to join the military.